A startup founder has about 60 seconds to capture a venture capitalist's attention. Usually, it goes quite poorly. This presentation slide outlines the standard 7-minute pitch template. Founders typically cram in everything from market potential to marketing approaches, often rushing straight toward step 7, the spreadsheets, KPIs, and finance data. Founders often exhaust their runway because their vision fails to align with the market, regardless of how precise the initial spreadsheet looked. This slide from a venture capital breakdown points to a biological solution. Experiencing character-driven stories engages more of the brain and triggers the synthesis of oxytocin. When the human brain releases oxytocin, people become noticeably more trusting, generous, and empathetic. Securing early-stage capital requires more than accounting. It demands a level of interpersonal trust that often hinges on this neurochemical bridge.
Effective pitching often utilizes Joseph Campbell's hero's journey to frame what business scholars define as the essence of entrepreneurship, pursuing opportunity without regard to the resources currently controlled. Look at this monomyth map. The hero begins in the safe, known world before crossing a critical threshold into the unknown. This maps directly to the seed stage, where a founder commits capital to leave the known world behind. This early, relatively small pool of money serves a singular purpose, validating the core concept and building a minimum viable product, or MVP, a bare-bones version of the idea used to test the waters. A seed round provides enough capital for the hero's first irreversible step out of reality. It is a bridge toward proof, not the final destination. Once across that threshold, the founder plunges into the search for product-market fit. In the tech industry, this perilous phase is widely known as the Valley of Death. Startups spend months, sometimes years, navigating an environment where resources are painfully thin. The product might be buggy, customers are scarce, and the constant threat of running out of runway makes failure the most probable outcome. Surviving this environment requires what Campbell called help from strangers. For a startup, these strangers are venture capitalists. This chart maps out the exact mechanism VCs use to provide that help: staged financing. Investors do not hand over a single massive check. They allocate capital in highly specific, sequential phases. Notice how each funding round on the graph is tied to solving an immediate crisis. A seed round funds the minimum viable product. A Series A round tackles customer value proposition validation. Series B is meant for unit economics. Every dollar is deployed as a sequenced lifeline, engineered to eliminate one specific market risk at a time. Surviving a major trial triggers the primary financial engine of the venture ecosystem, the valuation step-up. As a startup solves a major problem, like proving customers will actually pay for the software, the risk profile for the next round of investors drops. In response, the mathematical value of the company steps up exponentially. Billionaire investor Peter Thiel developed a famous framework of 7 questions that act as the ultimate gauntlet for these companies. He demands founders answer the engineering question: can you build breakthrough technology? The timing question: is now the exact right moment for this product? And the monopoly question: are you starting with a large share of a small, defensible market? A $50 million Series B valuation reflects the specific existential threats a founder has already destroyed. It is a mathematical acknowledgement of survival. At the end of the mythic journey, the hero achieves mastery over the unknown, conquers their final fear, and prepares to return home bearing a powerful prize. In the startup lifecycle, this return is the liquidity event. Whether it is an initial public offering or an acquisition by a larger company, this is the moment early investors and founders finally cash out, delivering massive financial returns. Every step of this multi-year journey, from the seed stage struggle to the final exit, is mapped out and agreed upon at the very beginning within the venture capital term sheet. This document functions exactly like an entrepreneur-investor prenuptial agreement. It legally aligns the financial incentives of both parties before the trials even begin. Framing a startup pitch as a hero's journey forces founders to be brutally honest about the risks ahead, while tapping into the deep biological empathy that compels investors to fund the fight.